Hello, I am Daria Aksoy. Welcome to the program At the Edge of Tomorrow, prepared with contributions and research from Yasar, Atolye, where we examine the intersections of the technology and economy worlds together with Mert Yilmaz. Today, we are taking a close look at how artificial intelligence is fundamentally shaking the business world.
Yes, it's really a very hot topic.
On one side, there is a promise of incredible productivity and innovation. On the other side, there are concerns about whether this is a bubble, even discussions about risks like strategic blindness.
Absolutely. It's a bit like a double-edged sword.
We have information compiled from important sources such as Grant Thornton, ARK Funds, BCG, and KPMG. We want to clarify this complex picture a bit. Our goal is not just to give a summary, but to understand what these data mean for you, our viewers. Where are the opportunities? Where are the risks? Let's explore these a little.
Exactly. Our mission is actually to provide you with a kind of roadmap amidst this intense flow of information. Artificial intelligence, okay, is turning into a profitability tool. But even more importantly, what are the obstacles to turning this potential into reality? This is very critical. From leadership to field services, from legal to consumer products, different business functions and sectors. How are they affected by this wave? We will look into these.
Of course, there's also the investment aspect of the matter.
Yes. How are investors interpreting this new equation? How are cybersecurity threats evolving? Even the money we pay for the software we use is changing. Let's put all these pieces together. I want to try to see the big picture.
Now let's trace the money a bit, meaning let's look at investment and market dynamics.
Yes, the investment world is almost like a hurricane of artificial intelligence. Funds focusing on disruptive innovation, like ARK funds, are very prominent.
When we look at their investment process, there are some interesting metrics, aren't there? It seems a bit different from classic financial analysis.
Absolutely different. The leader's vision, R&D expenditures, competitive advantage, especially speed, are very critical here. Product leadership, valuation, and of course, regulatory risks. They are looking at these. They are more focused on long-term potential.
The large language model, the LLM market, is very active. How is the situation there?
ARK has identified an interesting dilemma there. Competition is intensifying on one hand, but at the same time, the gap between those leading models and followers is widening. In other words, the market is becoming both more crowded and dominated by a few leading players. And one thing to remember is that these LLMs are just one layer of the equation. On the enterprise side, the importance of platforms like Palantir, which integrate data and models into business processes, is steadily increasing.
The investment figures are truly unbelievable. According to the Boğaziçi Ventures report, global AI investments in the first half of 2025 have exceeded $116 billion, already surpassing the entire 2024 total of $105.7 billion.
Truly an acceleration.
There is a detail in this report that caught my attention. 72% of these agreements are early stage, meaning seed and Series A. So, huge amounts of money are flowing, but most of it is still going to fresh startups at the beginning of their journey.
This actually shows how vibrant and dynamic the ecosystem is. There are many interesting startups that have received between $5 and $20 million in investment. For example, Method AI, which assists robotic surgery. Tavail, which organizes web searches for LLMs. Wiggle AI, which animates images.
Yes, Motor AI focusing on autonomous driving, Genie AI producing legal documents, and Lottie detecting deep fakes. Truly, innovations are sprouting in very different fields.
Exactly.
Of course, the other side of the coin exists. Global competition is intensifying. Companies like Chinese DeepSeek are emerging. They are developing models that will compete with American giants and also be cheaper to produce.
Competition is coming from everywhere.
And then there's the perhaps most key figure in the industry, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, with that balloon warning. What do you think about this? His acceptance of the issues with GPT-5's launch and the trillion-dollar data center needs are just additional points.
Yes, this is an important warning. It may imply that we need to step on the brakes a little and perhaps keep expectations a bit more realistic. This situation should seriously make both investors and companies think.
Here is the critical question at this point. With these dizzying investment figures, ambitious promises, and warnings of bubbles coming from one side, how will we distinguish the true potential among all of these?
Very difficult question.
How do you find your way in this hype tunnel as an audience? How do you base your strategies on this uncertainty? This may be one of the most challenging management questions of the upcoming period.
Absolutely. Keeping this question in mind, shall we now move on to other aspects of managing this new arrangement? Risk, cybersecurity, pricing, and integration.
It will be wonderful. Then let's start with a risk.
Speaking of risk, I guess we need to fundamentally change our perception of risk in the age of artificial intelligence. ARK Funds emphasizes one thing persistently. Traditional risk metrics based on historical data, like standard deviation, can be misleading in such a disruptive, transformative era.
What do you mean? Are traditional methods no longer working?
They say it's not exactly like that, but it may fall short. The real big risk is not short-term price fluctuations, but falling behind technologically in the long run, falling into strategic inertia, and becoming disengaged in the market.
This is truly a game-changing perspective when you think about it. How Netflix ended Blockbuster, how Tesla shook up traditional automakers, and how Nvidia challenged Intel.
Very good examples.
Stability in the past does not guarantee success in the future. In fact, according to ARK, a stock showing high volatility or fluctuations may actually reflect its potential to be a future winner. They say the market is trying to price in that uncertain but significant potential.
Isn't it interesting? The question arises whether the places we consider safe havens could actually be the most risky places.
It certainly could be. Traditionally, low-risk companies may carry structural vulnerabilities by relying too much on old business models, outdated distribution channels, or regulations that are no longer protective.
Very true. The real risk may lie more in how well the business model aligns with the future rather than price movements. With a long-term vision, this risk must be addressed by readjusting the return equation.
A new risk environment is being added with cybersecurity threats, where artificial intelligence appears to be both the source of the problem and part of the solution. BCG's survey conducted with G-Solar, that is, Information Security Managers, is very striking.
What does the survey say?
The biggest concern is now overwhelmingly 80% AI-supported attacks, especially social engineering using Gen AI, with 62%, those very convincing fake emails and messages, are seen as the biggest threat.
Yes, these types of attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated. As threats evolve, defense mechanisms naturally have to change as well. Companies are investing more in threat intelligence.
What other trends are there?
An interesting trend is that companies tend to continue working with their trusted existing cybersecurity vendors and expect more comprehensive solutions from them, rather than constantly searching for new cybersecurity tools. In other words, there is a kind of consolidation. And what's also important is that even when overall IT budgets are tightened, cybersecurity budgets are rarely affected, which shows how seriously the threat is taken.
I understand. Another fundamental issue changed by artificial intelligence is software pricing, especially in the B2B sector between companies. With the proliferation of AI agents, smart software capable of acting independently, the traditional per-user licensing model we know is gradually reaching the end of its life.
What is coming in place?
Models based on usage, or more importantly, the achieved results are coming. In other words, you will pay according to how much you used or how much benefit you gained from this software.
It sounds fair, but it may be difficult to implement.
There are certainly challenges. According to a survey by Andreessen Horowitz, nearly half of the buyers, 47%, find it difficult to clearly define that result. 36% are concerned about the unpredictability of costs. Despite this, there is also a demand for higher payments for artificial intelligence capabilities at 68%. But the critical point is this: customers are no longer just looking for the label, "We have AI," but are asking, "This AI is mine. Which concrete task does it solve? Which expertise does it provide?"
Value focus, that is.
Exactly. BCG has defined several models suitable for this new world. usage-based, depending on the amount of processing power consumed or the number of interactions, agent-based for a specific purchased agent, such as OpenAI's $20,000 monthly research agent, and result-based per completed task or financial benefit provided.
It seems that hybrid models, which are probably a mixture of these, will become more common.
Yes, it seems so. Of course, there is a challenge for the sellers as well. As the number of seats decreases, how will they maintain their revenue? A gradual transition strategy will probably be critical here.
And finally, there's the matter of connecting all these wonderful AI tools to existing systems and data. That is, integration. Technically, this can really be a major obstacle.
Yes, compatibility issues and such.
Exactly. BCG states that the Model Context Protocol developed and open-sourced by Anthropic has the potential to become a standard for MCP here. We can think of MCP like, USB-C that connects different brand devices, and this is kind of like USB-C for AI tools.
Why is it so important then? What difference does it make?
Without MCP, you need to create a separate custom integration for each new vehicle and each new AI agent. This exponentially increases the workload with each new component added. It's very inefficient. If there is a standard like MCP, making these integrations reusable makes the workload more manageable, i.e., linear.
I understand. It provides a much more scalable structure.
Absolutely. This also paves the way for agents to be more capable and autonomous. But BCG has a warning. Thinking strategically, being agile, and especially paying close attention to security issues, such as untrusted code risks, are essential. Connecting everything haphazardly may not be the right approach.
Very important points. In light of all our discussions, it might be helpful to remind our viewers of these questions again. How well does your risk understanding align with this new reality that Ark mentioned? Are you able to go beyond the old metrics?
What is your current defense against AI-powered cyber threats? Do the software you use truly reflect the value it provides, or are you stuck with outdated models?
And of course, what is your strategy for integrating these new AI tools into your systems? These questions might help you navigate your course in this stormy sea. Today, we truly saw that artificial intelligence is not just a technology trend. It is rewriting the fundamental dynamics of the business world, from efficiency to strategy, risk to customer relationships, pricing to competition.
A very comprehensive transformation.
The importance of a human-centered approach, solid data foundations, flexible leadership, and questioning traditional risk perception has once again come to the forefront. New concepts like AI agents and technical standards such as MCP are also quickly entering our lives.
Yes, and I think the fundamental question is this. Will artificial intelligence remain just a tool to reduce costs for you, or will it become a leverage that fundamentally changes your way of creating value and competing?
This is a very critical distinction.
Is your organization remaining purely reactive in this transformation, simply trying to keep up with developments? Or is it preparing to become one of those who rewrite the rules proactively, shaping the future? Perhaps this is the question that requires the most thought.
See you next week in the new episode of At the Edge of the Tomorrow.